Hey everybody, welcome. So the other day on my Twitter, I asked you what you wanted to use AI for, and most of you answered for work. Then I saw that a lot of you are game designers, so my idea was today I'm going to show you how to turn rough sketches like this into really nicely illustrated, maybe World of Warcraft style game illustrations that you can then use in RPG inventory systems. So this is the style we're going for, right? Breath of the Wild has really nice icons representing items in the game, as does World of Warcraft. And with the techniques I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to be able to make art that gets really close to that in not a very long time at all. So let's get going. Now what we're going to start out with is very rough paintings of what we want, much like my other video if you haven't seen that, where I make a bigger concept art piece. And here are the three items I'm going to make: a chest, a potion, and a mace. The way I did this is I very quickly sketched it on an iPad, but you can also make it much more roughly on your PC with a mouse, for example. Even in Paint, people can make this art in Microsoft Paint and it will still end up very nice using Stable Diffusion if you make sure to follow a few specific steps that I'm going to show you. Now, what I'm going to assume is that you already have a working Stable Diffusion installation. If you don't, do not fret. Check out the links in the description of this video. The reason I'm not showing you how to do that is because it gets easier every single day and some steps do change. So I will just keep the links in the description updated and you can pick out whatever version works for you best. What I have here is a local installation of Stable Diffusion, and that just gives me some more power. You know, I have a good GPU installed in my PC, so there's no reason for me to use a cloud-hosted version of this. If you don't, no worries, there are several ways to do it without a good PC. What I have here is the one many people know. It's the one that makes images with prompts where you just enter text, but what we're going to use is the image-to-image algorithm here in the second tab, where you can upload an image, describe it here, and it will output a nicer version of it. So let's upload my first rough painting of the chest. Here it is. This is just my drawing on a black background. Now, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter a prompt, and here is where you describe what you want. For example, I want, of course, video game art, right? That narrows down what we want. It's not going to be photorealistic. We want a nice little painterly look, much like these here, right? Not pixel art, but just a nice illustration look. And now what I like doing is adding the artists I want it to be inspired by. And, you know, you can change this to whatever style you want, but I researched some good game artists and decided to go with Shadi Safadi, a very talented concept artist, and Ariel Fain, who worked on World of Warcraft, and Calvin Boyce, who also worked on World of Warcraft. Now, by mixing these three artists, we get a nice little blend of them, and that's what I'm going for. Now we describe what it is. So, of a wooden treasure chest with an emerald lock. That's here, this latch. Or let's do latch, actually. And a leather belt, describing this part here. And now what I don't want it to miss is that it has runes on all sides. Now don't fret, you don't have to write it exactly like I'm doing. You just have to develop a very kind of an implicit understanding of what you need to enter here, just through trial and error. I've developed my writing style, doesn't necessarily have to be yours, so don't worry too much. And now we will enter some more terms like World of Warcraft, just to narrow down the style a little bit. And Breath of the Wild, for example, has a pretty neat look as well. And now, with the final couple words, we will just pray to the AI gods and just write 8K, intricate, detailed, just for good luck. And now let's check out these settings down here. Here we have the sampling steps. Now this is basically how much time it spends working on the image effectively. So 50 is good for some simple starting out. You can also go lower if you don't have as much power. Don't go higher in this step quite yet. We will do that later. So 50 is a good starting method. Sampling method, just leave it on the default. KLMS is nice. All of these here are good. We don't have any faces, so we don't need to fix it. We will upscale later using real ESRGAN. That just gives us a bigger output, so don't check anything here. And the batch count, we want a few variants, a few options to check out. So let's set this to 4. classifier free guidance scale. We want the image to follow the prompt a little more right at the start, so let's turn that up to around 11. And the denoising strength is super important. Much like my other video, we're going to turn this way down for this first step. We want it to stay pretty close to the original input image, this one, for the first couple steps. So set that to somewhere between 0.3 and 0.4. The seed remains blank, and the height and width, always leave it at 512, at least for now, because anything higher than that will personally crash my computer, so I just leave it there. And now we can already click Generate and just wait a little. If you want to know what it's doing, you can open the terminal here and just watch the progress. And here we already see a few results. We can tell it did basically understand what we wanted. It made it closer to the shape of a chest. This one's kind of nice. The emerald is looking really cool. It added some nice detail here. You can tell it's trying to make wood into this, which is exactly what we asked for. And this one here made a weird lock. I don't like this one. It made our emerald round. Don't love it. And this one has our belt. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix these. We're going to take aspects of individual pictures that we like and put them together in another program. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, don't worry. You can use GIMP, which is a free open source alternative to Photoshop, or whatever tool like that you have at your disposal. So what we're going to do is we can just right-click and copy, go into Photoshop or similar, and paste the image. Very nice. You can already tell it's way better than our original sketch. And we're going to mask it, right? So we click the mask and just remove the parts we don't like in this image. I, for example, don't love these rocks here. It's not really what I wanted. We're going to go back to that. And what we pretty much, the only thing I really like is actually the belt. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete that mask again, make a new one, and invert the mask. So we remove everything, and then we just paint in that belt. Just paint in the belt. And actually, maybe I did like this side. So let's return that side. And now we're going to pick the next image where I focus on the emerald. I like the emerald from this one the most. So let's take that one. And already, let's export that. I name them by iteration. So I have a clear, set of iterations that it's cool to post later on, for development or whatever, so you can see your progress. So this is going to be number 2. Just save it at top quality. We don't want to lose anything. It's very small anyway. And time for the next step. So what we're going to do now is we want to refine a little more, right? So there's more detail in here. We can therefore let it be a little more creative with the denoising strength. We can turn that up a little bit and then just run it again. And here we go. Isn't that cool? Look, it really got creative with things now. It put a little green in there, which is interesting. It added a little holder around the emerald, which is a cool idea. We're losing the belt. I don't love it that it's losing the belt, so we might have to do that separately. But this is a really neat one. That's also a cool one that still has some kind of belt. So we're going to take the belt from this one here. And otherwise, let's see, we have a nice overview. I love this one. This is what I was going for. So let's take this one as a main one. Just paste it on top of the others. Now, let us find the belt. Again, mask it, invert the mask because we just want the belt. And just draw that belt in there. And now, save it. I think it still looks a little rough around the edges, so I think we can raise the denoising strength again a little bit, so it doesn't stick too close to the original shape of it, but also turn up the prompt to make sure we don't lose items in little parts of it again. And generate. All right, here we go. Now you can tell it already went much more creative, and it didn't lose the belt on this one. This is kind of cool. It still has the belt. And it's really giving us that World of Warcraft feeling, isn't it? So now what we're going to do is we're going to pick the one we like best, this one here, and just put that one straight in here. You can just drag it over. And to make sure we don't lose what we like about this, we're going to click here on Output Info, copy the seed. That's going to keep the general information, right, the shape and so forth. and paste it in here. Now we like this enough, so we are going to just give it more sampling steps, right? 150. Set this to 150 and we're going to get the maximum quality out of this. Now we're going to turn the denoising strength back down a little so we don't lose too much, and generate the full version of this one. And here we go, look at that. It's even more refined than this original one and gave us a couple of really cool options to choose from. It's basically up to us to choose which one we like best. This first one got a little weird sharpness going on. I don't like that, and something happened in the corner here, but we can remove that easily in Photoshop. This one does have the look I'm going for. That's really neat. And this one's pretty cool too. I kind of like the top of that a little better. It's more refined. Now we're going to bring this over here in Photoshop and mix it again. And I want to keep my latch here. Keep my belt. I like my belt. Now I can just refine some individual elements and then we'll be done. How to do that is by saving your image again. And now we can use the crop feature. So what I don't want to get lost is my latch, which means I'm going to crop down to the latch. Remember to click Shift to hold Shift while you do it so you keep a square. And we're going to select this area. And now we're going to change our prompt. We're going to say of a leather strap and belt on a wooden treasure chest. Everything else is not relevant, so we're going to remove that. And what we want now is, of course, we don't want to change too much, so we're going to, again, set the denoising strength to down. It's already there. Excellent. And stay at 150 because we're in high quality now. Now, I'm really having trouble with this belt buckle, so what I'm going to do is use a process called Photobashing, where I literally just look up a photo of a belt buckle and Photoshop it in and then tell it to find it, which of course it will, because it's right there. And maybe adjust the colors a little bit because the AI does tend to take over the colors one gives it. So we're going to make sure it's a little more brown like that. And let's upload it and try again. And there it is. That's more of a buckle the way I was looking for it. This one has a weird emerald on it, which is fascinating. So let's check them out close up. Interesting, interesting. It's very intricate compared to the style of the rest of the thing. This one's just blurry. That one's kind of cool. Probably going to take this one and just run it through again. Let's replace the one we have with that one. You just paste the image on top, shrink it down, maybe turn down the opacity so you can see what you're doing. And the cool thing about AI art like this is it will probably perfectly match your original artwork. Like it's going to fit right in there. And then you can mask around it and it should work. Exactly what I'm going to do. Let's paint around, make sure you're only putting in the part that you wanted. And make sure to turn the opacity back on. And we have our first item. The true size is this. So that's going to look great anywhere in any inventory system. If you want it bigger, you can also upscale. Now, lucky for us, in many installations of Stable Diffusion, there is an upscaler built right in. It's called Real ESR GAN, and it's the 4th tab here in my installation, where we can just upload our image. So if we want to upscale the chest, we put the image in there and click Generate, and this is of course much faster than actually generating the images, so we don't have to wait very long. In fact, here's the image. And we can see, you know, there's some artifacts, but it's a really good upscale, and I think this is 2048 by 2048 pixels wide. Let's move on to the next object. And here we are, our input image for the potion is now in here. Now the only thing we really need to change is just the description of what we want, because everything else worked really well. So we're going to do it and write of a bottle of potion. Let's do glass bottle of potion with green liquid. Steam coming out of the top. And let's add some bubbles. Bubbling green liquid. And now let's remember to change the settings back down. Let's bring it between the denoising strength between 0.3 and 0.4 and bring this back down to 11. So we follow the prompt like we did with the other one in the beginning. And don't forget to remove the seed. Make it blank to randomize as it says. And bring the sampling steps down to 50. Let's see what happens. And here we go. Remember, the point of this is just selecting the one that seems to have understood best what you're going for. So I guess I recognize bubbles in here, which is not what we wanted. It must have misunderstood that bubbling liquid is this thing up top. That kind of looks like steam. I don't know what that is. This one has some bubbles in it, looks like liquid. That one looks like steam, so that's maybe our best bet. So let's take this one and put it in again. Leave the settings as they are and just wait again. Here's the second result. The mouth of the bottle is starting to look a little better here. That looks like a bubble. So I don't love it. And I think I know what we're going to do. We are going to take this image, which is okay, and fix it in Photoshop and change it around a little bit. Now, the way we're going to do that is I need to turn this into clear steam. This is obviously some kind of bubble or liquid. It's not really working. And the gray isn't really being understood as glass. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to Photobash again. I'm going to go on pexels.com, and instead of belt buckles, I'm going to look up steam. That looks pretty cool. That looks really neat. So I'm probably going to use this and turn that green. And bring that in here. That's pretty neat. Maybe turn down the saturation a little bit. And the lightness. Perfect. Okay, that's pretty cool. And I think I have to give it more hints that this is glass. So I'm going to look up well, what if they have potions? Maybe they have potions. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that. So let's use that. All right, that looks ridiculous, but I'm sure it's going to work much, much better than the images we had previously. And now I'm just going to turn the denoising strength up a little because I feel like it's having some trouble with the image. So let's put it at 0.5 and see what happens. The rest of the settings remain the same. Ooh, interesting. Okay, that one's cool. I really like that one. It's dripping a little. That one's really neat. That's pretty much what I wanted. And this one, I like the bubbles. The bottle's getting a little weird. So yeah, let's work with this one. Very cool. Now, let's just put a final step over this. What we're going to do, denoising strength down to possibly even the 2s. We really just don't want to get too far away from the thing. We just want to clean it up a little bit, right? So let's do 2.9 and just run it again at 150 this time so it gets nice and polished. Here we go. Here are our final results. Look at that. That's pretty neat. Ooh, I like that it actually put that dent in there, made it more clear. Gave it some definition. I like that. It looks more like a crystal bottle somehow. This one's nice. It's round. It's closer to what we originally gave it. That one's just crispy. And this one is just kind of clean. I like that, but to fit with our chest, right? We want to keep the theme. I will take this one and put that back into my Photoshop and save it. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Great. Now let's move on to our final item, the mace. I think you understand by now what my process is, so I'm just going to time-lapse through this, and we'll meet you on the other end. Alright, that's the end of the video, and here we go, here's the result. So remember, we started with these super rough sketches that almost anybody can do, even in Microsoft Paint, and ended up with these gorgeous World of Warcraft style item icons, this beautiful magical chest, this mace weapon, and a potion bottle. With the tools I showed you in this video, I hope you are able to reach results that are even better than this. So I hope you have fun, and if you like this video, please subscribe, like, and press that little bell so you make sure you get a notification when I release a new video. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want to know, any other videos I can make, and feel free to follow me on Twitter where I post the results of work that I made outside of these videos. My name's Albert, and I'm going to leave you to it. I hope you have lots of fun with Stable Diffusion. See you soon!